Yaat e abene, yaat e shik e shidane. This is my greeting, and in ter in terms of saying everything that is good, beautiful, and true is all I speak. Yaat e shik e shidane. My spiritual family and all of my relatives. Ahyeha shaja shata diyan the naabiyaja unshle doni higle. Thank you to our primordial ancestors. Thank you to our creator maker within creation, that each of us are equally a precious child of creator within creation. Quido hojo do leith na san hima jona e. Upon our sacred Mother Earth and the Father Sun, Father Sky, Father Sun. Thank you that we are traveling together in our sacred self and our sacred place in the universe. Jonah is the radiant sun, and from there, Yadelchil is all that is good, beautiful, and true for everyone equally. Hashjehoan is the divine feminine and the divine masculine within the universe and within natural order law within us. Thank you. Ahyeha alchena bahojoni. The affirmation affirming that every child is born through the sacred water of the mother, and the protector, provider, team, healthy helping teamwork. Na bahi do not ani na ye nezgana, to bring within us to fruition and manifestation that there will be that the chen tian ya and premature death. These are to be eliminated. These are to be cleansed and purified through the ceremonies, but the singing, yaltit, also talking in the affirmative thinking system. Ahyeha, thank you. It's the ceremony for Hojonja, and this ceremony is to be chanting, to be singing, to be speaking, to be affirming that living the loving way is a way of life. And therefore, we also affirm we're in the container of natural order law. That is the order and purpose of sunrise, noon, evening, midnight, spring, summer, fall, winter, and then where the teaching is placed for us throughout our whole life. Tadadin ek ejchin, Tadadin atin, Tadadin naantien, Tadadin sad. The four corn pollen footsteps from child to youth to elder to adult that we're traveling together on this journey. And the teaching place for us to visualize, to think, to speak, to make decision, and to put into action, to bring to fruition, which is our holy thinking, conscience, and moral reasoning. Ehol zendo alila in sahakes nahat a bazil hojojek ina dose hasen. Also the planning, also the decision making for the next generation of youth and the resources. We must have reverence for ourselves and all of every living being, all life. Therefore, we walk in beauty together. Hojonasha. And when I say Hojonasha, that is affirming that we are complete in our holiness and wholeness. Hojo nahaskli, Hojo nahaskli, Hojo nahaskli, Hojo nahaskli, and Nana Ahyaha Shik Shidne. And thank you, my spiritual family and relatives. Akure, I'm finished.
Thank you. Thank you, Patricia, for that beautiful prayer. And listening to those words, those vibrations that bring us back to an original state of harmony, unity, and peace upon this earth. This is a universal memory. This is a legacy. It belongs to all of us as precious children of the Creator. So thank you for being a living memory of this. Cool.
We're all governed by the natural order laws equally, and in those natural order laws, we are inclusively all precious child of Creator within creation. And so when I greet you and say those words, there is no way, it's impossible. The language does not have words to say it's not you. It's impossible to say not you. It's inclusive language. It's diagnostic language. It's exact in the natural order. And then it's not a theory or a religion, or it's not a philosophy or superstition, or it's not a Western model. So a really brief introduction here. These terms, I'll make a distinction. First of all, my English name, I call it my colonized Indian Indian boarding school name is Patricia Ann Davis. It's a Welsh name, and from there, I say that my bloodline lineage is I'm born of the Mississippi Band of Choctaw, Inshle, Tachitni, Bushelchin, Ado Mississippi Band of Choctaw, Chata, the Ne Edish Che, Kia Ani Edishanella. So that is how we are matrilineal. There is no matriarchy, hierarchy, or hierarchy, patriarchy in our language. It's through the bloodline of the mother, matrilineal. And so I'm saying my spiritual self-identity through my mother and her mother and father, and then through my father. I'm walking in his footsteps and in his image, and then through my father, Tachitni, and then through Kia Ani, through his father and his father and mother. And then that's why um, that is a necessary or proper tradition through oral tradition. Everything is through transmission from generation to generation. And so carrying this knowledge from birth to 78 years old through oral tradition and defining and describing and illustrating and simplifying for the general public. It is a treasure knowledge. And so it's for everyone. Um, that means there's no secrets and there's no enemies. And I have a lot I could say, but I think that the most important thing here that we're all teachers and we're all students. And a ceremonial change process that I designed and named in English, the Indigenous Ceremonial Change Process, is authentic coming from a ceremonial language we call Deneh Bazad. And it's following a sequence within the natural order law, which has been simplified to use, to teach, to the healing that I'm talking about is not a coping, it's not coping, temporary coping. It is making a correction in our thinking. And making that correction in our thinking, we tell our body correct information, and then we discern how to make decisions that are beneficial for the collective survival, and that we could thrive in abundance and plenitude together. And right now we're also rebalancing the reciprocity within our divine feminine and masculine within us and between us. And so I'll just end with I have to consider myself in English an advocate as a traditional healer, because in English I myself personally cannot say that I'm an activist, for the reason that I'm advocating for this knowledge, for this indigenous wisdom and knowledge in the affirmative. And so I have to stay in my lane and use the terminology that best describes what I'm advocating for. And so, yes, we need the healthy helping teamwork for people to collaborate and cooperate. And so, thank you for this time and this introduction, and especially to work with translating into Spanish language, which I have done already too over the years with other groups of people in Mexico and South America, and have traveled to Quito, Ecuador, and can put you in touch with Jorge Cervales in Quito, Ecuador, who I went there in 2007. And so this is coming around full circle for everyone to be included who choose and who truly understand the word reciprocity, like in breath, out breath. Life is not all give and it's not all take. And that in that way, then life gives life, and we cannot close the door and say, I don't want to participate. I don't want to be involved. I don't want to help you, or we don't need help, or language that we want to honor this giving and receiving in such a way that we are reframing the out of people who win, and that is people who require people of color and women historically to agree to lose and pay to lose. So we are reframing and rebalancing our languaging in such a way that we understand that we're not compartmentalizing into perpetuating adversary and conflict and perpetual warfare with that languaging. So I add that for us to keep that in mind. And I love the Spanish language. I studied it at the University of Arizona, and that was only reading and writing. And at one time, I could fluently read it and write it from English to Spanish and Spanish to English. And I can't really speak it, and I haven't used it since 1982. And so I've forgotten a lot of it, but I can somewhat hear the meanings of it. Let you know that. And I'm open to questioning too, specifically because this is treasure time together.
Yeah, so I just want to make a technical commentary for the moment before we continue. And I just want to make sure that um, everybody's hearing and seeing well, because my connection is dropping out a little bit. Is it hard to hear me?
Yeah. A little bit, yeah. We can hear Patricia well. A little hard to hear you.
Okay, good. I'm disconnecting my headphones because apparently that's is it better now? Okay. So I want to briefly introduce myself. My name is Luciana. I acquired my spiritual name as Colibri, which means hummingbird in Spanish. And so what brought me here today to summit this work and this course has been a call that I received in this 7 years ago when I arrived with my newly born son, terribly worried about the state of the world and terribly worried about the world I was inheriting to my lineage, and decided that I wasn't going to stop until I found a clear path and solution. And so this brought me to leave the place where I was settling in Bolivia in the mountains with my spouse and my son, and to hear the call of an invitation to come to Sierra Nevada to meet with a mamo. His name was Mamo Palia, and he's now resting in peace. But I came to Colombia specifically to meet this mamo because I had heard immense wisdom. The mamos are the wisdom keepers of the Kogis who live in the Sierra Nevada, Santa Marta, Colombia. So I traveled from Bolivia with my newly born son. Well, actually, I traveled from Bolivia pregnant and gave birth along the way to the Sierra in Colombia. So we birthed in an indigenous territory in Colombia, and my son is recognized as an indigenous born
sun. And I realized that we had to continue traveling all the way to the Sierra. So I arrived in the Sierra with my newly born son in search for this wisdom that I had received in several messages, in my vision quests, and my ceremonies. The puzzle that we need to bring back together of humanity's lost ways, and was very evident in the state of our planet and our humanity, that we had lost our way. And as a child of Occident, of the Western world, and grown up in the cities, I never felt at home on this planet. From very early age, I felt myself very alienated from this world, and was confused by the time I brought a child into the world, but how I was going to orient this being that was spiritually given to me as a responsibility and a great honor to be a mother. And as a mother, I really needed help and counsel that I wasn't finding in the culture around me. So I initiated this quest some years back by spending many years living with Indigenous people. I left my Western world and my profession and decided to live with the Indigenous because they were the first time I ever felt human again, was sharing with Indigenous people in Borneo when I was 20 years old. And this experience really marked me forever. And so by the time I was ready, which took many years of aligning, I left my Western world and went to live with Indigenous people. So I lived with the Quechua people in Peru and Bolivia. Like I said, I conceived in Bolivia and then birthed in another Indigenous community in Colombia called the Misak, and was hearing this call to come and meet the Mamos in the Sierra. So I ended up in the Sierra, and this Mamo invited me to stay on in the Sierra and to study, because he said that all of the problems in the world were due to the fact that we have led away from natural order law. And I had never heard this term before. And so I asked, what is the natural order law? And he replied, well, this is a very deep subject, and you won't find the answers in any book. And no Mamo knows the complete reply to this question. But what I can say is that you can study it in nature, because nature is the living law. And that's where all of the answers are. So you can find a place here in the Sierra where nature abounds, and you can stay and you can study, and I will be there to help you. So find a place. And so I did this, and I stayed in the Sierra, in a naturally abundant, beautiful territory that we found in order to do this work, and created a campaign to receive the funds to purchase this land, to be able to create a space for this study for ourselves and for others. And so I've stayed on in the Sierra Nevada taking care of this territory. And along the way, the elder passed away and literally left me alone in nature to figure all of this out. So this is what I've been stewarding. And the Mamo left us some clues about the nature and the origin of conflict, because this was the initial consultation. How do we deal with the conflict happening in the world? And he left us some indications of moving away from natural order law and arriving to the origin of conflict through the study of conflict. He said that in order to find peace that we want to find, in order to find the peace we're looking for, we need to study what brings us away from peace. And if we want to be in unity and community, which is the original indigenous way of life, and we're all indigenous, we all come from the earth and living together in harmony with the earth and with our relations. So in order to return to this, we need to study also what brings us apart from unity. So his proposal was to study conflict and disunity, the factors that bring this, so that we are able to name it, recognize it. We can only heal something when we recognize it, when we see it. And so this is the task that he left, and some instructions that is what I hope to be able to share when we commence the 9-week course that we're proposing is this. So this is the first time that I've officially opened the invitation to study, the origin of conflict as the ways to peace. And along the way last year of preparing to give this course, I met Patricia Ann Davis in a gathering, online gathering that John Raymer, Allison's father, was organizing. And when I heard Patricia's piece on everything that she teaches in the indigenous ceremonial change process, I felt that I was hearing the words of the deceased Mamo alive in somebody again. And 9 years had gone by since his death, and I had never found anybody who understood me and this investigation and this work. And so I immediately felt like I had found an elder and a collaborator to continue this work in life and to bring it to the world. So I founded this Caretakers of Life School, Escuela Cuidadores de Vida, as the organizational container to be able to format these courses and teach them with the world. And I've been doing this since 2020, since the pandemic, online with many people in the Latin American community. And now we're opening these sessions for English and Spanish speaking, and with Patricia. So I'm very happy and honored and grateful for this opportunity to have this first session, at least intimately, between people that have known my work and Patricia's work and that were here. We've heard the call, and I feel like we're initiators of something. So I would like to, with this, propose that we can have some time at the end of the session for questions, and we can also make pauses, of course, to clarify things. But I would like to propose that we keep and we make like a introduction to what we are proposing to share in this 9-week course. And so that way, this introductory session can also serve for people who are here and also who will see this recording in a way of orientation of what we are going to work through in these 9 weeks. And so that would mean that I would, after just making a pause to see if there's any questions so far or comments so far, I'd pass the word back to Patricia so that she can introduce this ICCP, Indigenous Ceremonial Change process that she has designed over all of her years of experience and the teachings from her lineage in this ceremonial language and tradition. But that is very important that we understand that this is a universal application, that we're not basing any of this work on any particular tradition, although of course we will make reference to, yes, a certain language, but ancestral languages are based on natural order law. So they may have a particular form and expression, but they are based on universal natural laws. The teachings and the vibrations that are transmitted through the language are universal. The same way that the way I was taught from the Mamo was not to learn the Kogi way. And I want to be very clear about this. I'm not a Kogi, obviously. I don't represent the Kogis, but I learned within the Kogi community and the culture directly through nature, because the Mamo died and I was left in nature to unravel this mystery by myself. So this is also a universal way of understanding. No? And this is important because we need to create universal ways of expressing this, because form is also what divides us in many cases. And so we're really tapping into natural order law, universal principles that govern us all. It doesn't matter where we're from. So this can be practiced by anybody in any place in the world. So with this, I complete my introduction and presentation, and would like to pass the word back to Patricia after just asking again, if anybody has any questions or any comments, you can raise your hand. We'll make a small pause and then we'll just go straight into Patricia. You can share with us the step-by-step. There's 5 steps, right? And so we can go one by one and kind of talk about each of them and how, and at the end, we'll talk about how we work on this ICCP in group process, because the group process is going to invite us to create a purpose together as a group of what we want to resolve in conflict as a group, like a theme or something that we're going to want to work on together. So that would be the last part of this session, is for us as a group to identify what we'd like to work on together. This is about co-creation. So with this, if there's any comments or questions, you can raise your hand. And if not, we'll just pass the word back to Patricia. Okay, seems like we passed the word back to Patricia. Go ahead, Patricia. So let's start with the introduction of the ICCP. Thank you. Your microphone is off, Patricia. Sorry, you need to open your microphone.
I would like to hear any question or any comment that you have. Anyone? Thus far, what we have brought up and your interests, and especially when we're dealing with so many competing models that require conversion, because the conversion means you have to take away and replace. So that's what happened in the colonization process. There are 4 phases of conquest. And so in those 4 phases of conquest, the first one was genocide. The second one is conversion, meaning take away the sacred self-identity in the sacred place in the universe and replace by the belief that we're born into a deficient self-image. And then when we're born in, when we convert to identifying ourselves that we're born in with evil inside of us, or shadow inside of us, or dark side, or some born into some kind of deficiency, then what is presented to us is an external, the external oppression, and then we internalize that internalized oppression because we're told that the remediation out of our deficient self-image, there's an external remediation process to remediate us out of our deficiency to some end state, like civilization, like personal salvation, like redemption, like a healing of sickness, disease, or addiction, to some end state. The indigenous ceremonial change process is at its most basic level is a decision-making process, and it's only learning how to discern. That's all it is. So how are we going to convey to others the inclusiveness of it? that it doesn't require, because we have someone, oh no, I have my own way. I'm teaching this. This is our model. This is what works. This is what we call it. Oh no, we don't want to uh, be a part of anything else. And we recreate pseudo community in those disconnected, divisive silos again. So I make that distinction here while you're thinking about what would you like to know specifically, or what is your thinking or your comment.
Okay, well, good morning and maybe afternoon for some reason. I am Felipe Leal from Colombia. I have heard Grandma Patricia and Davis in a few gatherings with World Unity Week, and well, mainly there. Also, I know Suzanne, thank you, sister, and also for the new sisters. Very glad to meet you. And yes, I do resonate a lot with this call. Personally, it's been part of, let's say, our path as a young generation that we started like 13 years ago, or maybe 20, but 13 years ago, we also received this stronger call. We used to call it the mother's call, and it was, oh yeah, related to first listen, just listen and learn to listen. And I guess in that listening is where we can find the harmony of in all our relations. So in that sense, that call is also, it requires a lot of work, spiritual work and internal work, because it's not easy to keep that that silence and that listening. So I guess that's why we are here, because we see the importance. Maybe some of us have had that experience. Some might be more used to keep that silence and that listening, but it's always great to have that reminder, especially from our elders, that somehow their path and their wisdom is intrinsic, and it motivates young generations. So I am committed to spread these teachings and this word. And I also don't come necessarily as an individual here. I somehow come in representing the Gaia network and the Gaia family, which is basically the whole call to the whole human family to organize, to think in ways that we can organize much better in general in all the aspects of life. Yeah, well, I mean, I can share many things, but basically we are mainly focused on governance and new economics, so that we can really help our human family to thrive in this world, which is sometimes not so easy. So of course this teachings is a big part of that. And yeah, I would like to explore how to weave this with what we are somehow weaving basically as a school of life, we call it. And how can we bring these teachings in a way that money is not the issue, is not the limitation, but at the same time that we can all live in abundance, and especially the ones that are sharing this wisdom. So yeah, count on me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Felipe. Yes, and I've known Felipe for over 10 years. And we've been brought together at several points along this path, and we're still here. So thank you for coming today, Felipe. Felipe represents a really wide network of people that this work can reach. So it's important for us to all recognize each other here as really ambassadors, doing the work first within so that we can become living, breathing examples, of the work. And so thank you for coming today, for entering the call. So in this call of listening, we establish dialogue. And so if anybody at any point has anything that they'd like to say or to comment, please put the little icon of your hand so that this can be more dynamic, right? Because we can sit here and do talking heads for, hours. But specifically during the course, we designed the course structure so that we could sit and listen, receive, receptive mode of the indigenous ceremonial change process in the step-by-step that Patricia proposes, but that will entail participation and feedback. So it's going to be participatory in terms of the reflections and the weaving of the dialogue as each step occurs. And then we wove between the 5 steps in the sessions some practical exercises that I'll be sharing with you from what I integrated and wove together from the 11-year process in the Sierra and the 9-year process of the stewarding and the study of this origin of the conflict. So I will also be sending you and the group recorded exercises to practice so that we can really bring this into the interior work that needs to happen within each of us as the course is developing. So that being said, again, I'll pass the word to Patricia so that Patricia, you can guide us through the indigenous ceremonial change process. I would like to begin through this and that the questions be, specific around each step. So please raise your hand whenever you have something you'd like to share. Okay. So go ahead, Patricia. Yeah, you might need to open your microphone again because I'm turning it off so that there's no background noise when someone else speaks. So go ahead and open your microphone again.
I would like to begin with this anticipating questions around credibility, authenticity. And when we're saying a course, and then we're saying that it's a ceremonial change process, anyone, everyone, the knowledge I have is built in as conscience and moral reasoning when we use our conscience and moral reasoning for what it's for. And what it's for is making decisions for the greatest good, for the greatest number of people. So I'm going to be real compact and really simplify here because there's nothing confusing about it. There's no complexity about it. There's no secrets about it. I'm totally transparent. You can ask me any question and I will answer of what I know. I don't hold anything back and I never say I can't tell you. Because we are in a crisis. We're in peril. Humanity, the environment, our very sacred Mother Earth. And therefore, the idea that we have to study a whole lifetime, we have to get a certification, we have to get some document, and then, or we could take a weekend course or this 9-week course and say, oh, now I am shaman of whatever we decide to name this. We're saying universal. Universal. We could say universal decision making, healing, how real compact. That way, we are asking people to use their conscience and moral reasoning. What is the power when people say, "Oh, I don't believe in all that stuff. It's just superstition." I don't believe that all that stuff. It's just superstition. It's just new age. Or you're just a fake. I've been called a joke, a fake, a charlatan, and a long list of of other name calling throughout my whole life, and only even recently I'm still adding to the list. So that is coming from somewhere that doesn't belong to me. It doesn't belong to us. And just I have said openly to a person, breathe in love and mind your own business. And thank you for participating in the very thing that you're attacking, because we understand you are emptying without judgment, punishment, or condemnation. And now we will move on into group consensus so that we can design, collaborate, and cooperate to design the co-creative solutions. And the co-creative word I'm using is with creator, within creation, and that's what's within me to co-create with you and other people in that order. That is what aligns us with natural order law. We're anchored and grounded with creator within the sacred self and the sacred self intellect to have that power, use that power within to have power with others. That's how we're all created. That's how we're all our constitution, how we're made, every person, past, present, and future. So anyone can intuit what I'm going to say and what I'm saying here in terms of just making it simple, and you understand because it's built within you. And so when you heard me, however you heard me, when you heard me, something in you recognized there is a truth there. There's a reality. That reality is exact in the natural order law, where we don't say, well, maybe it's this, I think that, or I feel this, or I don't know. Something is resonating. The frequency is resonating, and we think, I know. So what is that power? It's the power of truth. And what is the truth? We can see, we can hear, we can notice, we can understand, we can feel truth. And it requires us to acknowledge that and give up. We will no longer deny it. We will no longer minimize it. We will no longer distract from it, meaning distract to lead people astray with false teaching, because that causes delay. To be led astray with false teaching, it causes delay And in that delay is where suffering is. And so, truth, some people will say, well, that's your truth. That's not my truth. This is my truth. And everybody has their truth. And they'll say, there's no one way. We can't know. We don't know. It's a mystery. We all know in any language, in any land, the sun rises to the east, a mid sunrise, there's a noon, there's an evening sunset, and there's a midnight. We all know there are 4 seasons, even in places where it might not fully manifest. There's still spring, summer, fall, winter. The newborn child cannot become an elder. The teenager cannot become an elder. There's a pathway, a developmental place where we travel on a path. And it's not linear from birth to death. It is circular every day in the natural order law. Well, every day, sunrise, noon, evening, midnight. Every year, spring, summer, fall, winter. Every lifetime, from child to youth to adult and to elder. And then we're saying also in the creation story, there are 4 nations: white shell nation to the east, metaphorically, quote, white people. To the south, turquoise. The sky is turquoise in nature, not the exoteric color of red, but red people. To the west, to the ocean, abalone shell people, yellow, quote, yellow people. Midnight to the north, and winter is black people, obsidian or jet. So no one is born above or below. Everyone is born in a sacred circle, and sunrise becomes noon, becomes evening, becomes midnight, becomes sunrise. And that is the natural order law, that everything was created with order, with a purpose and order, and then placed in these 4 directions, 4 cardinal directions, and also 4 ordinal, northeast, southeast, southwest, northwest. So ordinal and cardinal directions, that's longitude and latitude. So that's where we exist, with the whole universe within us and around us. We're in the universe. The universe is within us. Therefore, we are all a spark of divinity, a light within a greater light in this web of life, etheric network. And then we are governed. And Felipe, thank you for what you said, and thank you for introducing yourself and your words, talking about governance and economics. We're talking about governing systems and leadership and the distribution of world resources, economics. Okay, so that's the purpose and order that's placed within us and around us, that we live in this harmony and balance, like in breath, out breath, like right foot, left foot, and stay aligned between Mother Earth and, we say, Father Sky. And this is inherent sovereignty. So inherent sovereignty means there's no human being, no where, no one, no organization, no government that says, I grant you sovereignty. We're equally granted inherent sovereignty. That's where we acknowledge our spiritual self-identity. So when I would say this first in Choctaw, Chata, and then I have to go to Navajo language and say, the people, Choctaw, a Mississippi band of Choctaw, or say Chata the Ne in Shle. That word Inshle is saying I am born from my mother's sacred water, the divine feminine, life giver, nurturer, Toh Bashish, born through the sacred water of my mother, and then Tachitni Bashalchin. So if you're European American, you and that's all you know, you would say in English, I'm born of, from European American to or for European American. And then you're saying your bloodline, your identity bloodline. But your name is, that's who I'm called, but it's the I am. So I'm giving you the mechanics of the I am. When I say Nshle, I already described it to you as sovereignty, inherent sovereignty. So that's what follows. We're all of a light within a greater light. We're a spark of divinity with inherent sovereignty within us. We're governed by creator and creation. In our whole brain thinking, conscience, and moral reasoning, it's not existing way out there somewhere. It's right here in our own concrete brain. That's where the decision making is. Yes or no. We choose destructive and death choices, or constructive and life affirming choices. We choose consequences, or we choose benefits. Yes or no. So I'm only teaching a decision making process. It's not converting, it's not debating, it's not arguing, it's not anything other than guiding someone through a process of yes or no. And so if someone says, what gives you, where's your credentials? And are you expecting to say, well, I earned this? We could say, I remembered and I chose to remember and reawaken to my own conscience and moral reasoning, and to use my creative imagination in collaboration and cooperation with others, that we may together name what is out of balance, that we may also identify what is the root cause of that out of balance condition. And I'll use this because it applies to us. For our purposes, I can name war as an out of balance condition. And then I could say the root cause is the addiction to greed. We could start with that on an individual basis or in a group. You ask the group, you ask the person, what is the out of balance condition? If it's a group, the group among themselves must agree. The out of balance condition as in grief or sadness, Allison, profound grief, sadness, or anger or rage, even generational. We call it transgenerational unresolved anger, and it's it's perpetrated on those in proximity. So that's venting, ranting, blaming, and scapegoating. You're the enemy. So we are actually at this very moment today still carrying out and believing that because we're so fear-based, we think the only way to survive is kill other people and steal all their land and resource. To this very moment today, we're still carrying that out. So that's called existential fear, referring to our own individual being born into fear for our very survival. And that has escalated to apocalyptic fear due to the threat of nuclear weapons and the these I don't even want to say possibility, but to the delusion, the self-delusion and illusion of nuclear weapons destroying the planet. It's self-delusion and illusion. So fear is a call for love. So we're dealing with that at two levels. And now I'm coming back with the fact. Fear is a call for love. They cannot coexist like oil and water. They can't coexist. So we know humanity has chosen fear, both existential, personal, and then apocalyptic, collective fear, planet, humanity reaction. So fear is a call for love. Guilt. We have someone with a doing wound and someone with a being wound. Someone who perpetrated and someone who was victimized. And then the two are addictions, meaning lie to survive and numb the pain, which is the addiction of the doing wound, is getting pleasure and euphoria in inflicting that pain. And the addiction of receiving that pain because the belief system, philosophy, religion, theory, the belief system says, bring it on, bring on the rapture, bring on the pain, because my belief says that I will be a martyr, that I will have a reward in the afterlife. I will be rewarded by recruiting other people to gang up on other people and say, you're my enemy. And then enemy creation is we're locked, completely locked into attack, revenge, retaliate, attack, revenge, retaliate, defending our freedom to live in peace. So did you hear that it didn't make sense what I said? Huh? That's a double bind. It's say one thing and say another thing. And okay, you're following me. I'm simplifying for you just how we can go about it in a very sequential means 1, 2, 3, ABC, phase 1, phase 2, and so on, or step 1, or whatever the term we use, phase 1, step 1, 2, 3, because we don't rearrange the clock and we don't rearrange the seasons. We don't rearrange our going from a child to an elder. That's how we prove that reality is exact in the natural order law, and how we are already born, constructed, and aligned accordingly. So the I am, knowing I am a precious child of Creator within creation, I know that's the truth. How is it proven? And I'm going to say this last part for this part, and then see if there's any question. And then I'll go to the steps itself, because I have given you a foundation that's solid and exact. And then I'll give you the whole picture and the parts and how they are fit together in the natural order law. And so when we know ourselves to be, and we acknowledge our true spiritual identity, I'm a light within a greater light. I'm a spark of divinity. That's my spiritual identity and inherent sovereignty as a precious child of Creator within creation. The proof of this preciousness and the truth is my body is of the earth element. My body has 70% water contained. I have a temperature that's approximately 98.6, approximately. I'm taking in breath oxygen and carbon dioxide out breath. See, that's physical body on the physical plane in temporary state of a lifetime that is circular. Long life, happiness, good health, abundance, plenitude, and this sacred circle where everyone is born equally with Creator and with our sacred self. Power within to have power with others eliminates the need or even demand for power over. Okay, male dominant, female submit, all the way it put us in the ground through rape and war. That doesn't work. It's a faulty foundation. And so the proof is every person is born of the earth, water, fire, and air into the environmental Mother Earth and water and rivers and lakes and streams and rain, the water in the environment, the fire, radiant fire in the sun, in the fireplace. These are all forms of fire. Our temperature within us. We have also electrical positive and negative in the spine. In our brain, we have also the brain synapse. And also we have in our house, we have to have a journeyman electrician to carefully install the positive and negative within the house to turn on the light and the electricity. So the elements are earth, water, fire, air, and we exist within the earth, water, fire, air in the environment. That is the word precious, child of Creator within creation, synchronistically, simultaneously, synergistically. Does that make sense? You could nod your head thus far. Does that, what I've said thus far, what's the secret of it? Why would I have any need to withhold that and say I'm the only one that knows that? It's what we celebrate as a humane being that we are the yin nahuka, the ne is the holy earth surface people. And remember, I said the language doesn't leave anybody out. Also, ado the yin bela ashlai. And also we are 5 fingers people. Even if a finger is missing or a hand is missing or what, we are still humane beings. Humane with the E. Did I leave anybody out? See? As such, holy earth surface people and humane beings that is our true identity. It's exact. This is in any language, in any land, the child born, that is the teaching. And because the child is coming through the sacred water of the mother, and there is a protector provider. And the protector is the male identity who takes care of the outside of the territory, because we didn't have kingdoms or king and queen or emperor or empress or somebody up there and we're down here. No language, no concept, no container for that. Just the sacred circle of every precious child born within the sacred circle. And so, born to the Father, Napa, he is the protector of the territory. There was no conquest, and there was the protector of the territory, of the household or the community, or however we want to say that. Then there's the provider, who is the hunters, the medicine people, we might say leaders, people, decision makers. Everyone is in the council. Female and male are equally in the healthy helping decision-making process. And so we see that this four directions is upon the earth. It's up, and it's in natural order law. So that's how we make decision of life giver and nurturer, who is equally the spiritual advisor and decision maker with the male protector provider, the men who take care of the outside and the men who take care of the inside, and the healthy helping teamwork in order to make decisions for meeting basic needs while recognizing each person's genius gift. Every person has their genius gift, and every person who has their genius gift, then I think someone left. Did anyone leave?
Yeah, Lana left a message saying that she needed to charge her phone and she was going to be back in a couple of minutes.
Oh, okay.
And I'm here, but I do have to leave like really soon. I wasn't quite sure how long we're going this morning, but
I also have to, so I'm just giving you the foundation. And that foundation is most important, because we can look at the chart and we can understand why and how. I'm only teaching how by guiding and inspiring people to make a decision for naming out of balance condition, for identifying the root cause, why it is out of balance. But I'm providing you the foundation for which to say it's common sense. And we all know it makes sense. When we go to the doctor and get an x-ray and a blood test, we go to the mechanic and we get an assessment. What isn't working? We must know the name of what isn't working. We must find out why it doesn't work. We must make that correction and the root cause, and then we go forward. And then we say, well, the solution is just for me. No, it's for all of us and our future generation. The next part is emptying. And emptying is to talk, to cry, to dance, to sing, to vomit, to take herbs that are emetic, to get that negativity out of our body. So even to sweat, to perspire in the sweat lodge, chant, drum, these are the emptying. But the key is no judgment, no punishment, no condemnation, and no punishment. We must provide a safe and supportive environment for them to empty. Therefore, once that emptying takes place, wash the windows of our soul, that deep sigh, and remember and reawaken to our true nature, aligned with the natural order law. Then we can start designing the co-creative solution for our collective thriving. And then we can begin to make the action plan. Then we can bring it to fruition, and then we can bring it into manifestation. So we can envision it, the solution. We can see it, and then we can think it, and then we can speak it without debate, without argument, without fighting, without combat, without war, without enemy creation. We can say, oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, I understand. I didn't experience that, but I can walk with you in this process. We can have compassion for each other. And empathy is, oh, I've been through that. I know I feel you because I've been through those emotions. And then compassion is, I didn't really experience that you're going through, but I can walk with you and I can help you and I can carry your burden and I can assist you in emptying and what you need, how to take care of yourself. And we can come up with this all together. And that's why I said yes to Luciana for the invitation, is together we come up and provide a path among everyone to contribute. Well, this feels better to me, this works better for me, but there is this basic framework for it. And so I'm gonna stop there because we are actually an hour and 40 minutes.
Thank you, Patricia.
And they will have access to this if they want to watch it.
Yes, we're going to share the recording on the group, and this can be material that we share individually with people that we want to invite into this campaign towards a total peace and unity on earth. And we are each of us here summoned and have been summoned and are present here to now co-create. And again, bringing the word back to that, like we're coming together to co-create. And the co-creation that brings us in this first rounds is to co-create this called 9-week course. We're organizing this ceremonial process into Occidental terms so that people understand. But we are going through a 9-week ceremony, and it's a 9-week initiation ceremony to not become shamans of anything. It's to learn to care for life.
That's right.
This is what we're doing. We're remembering. So this 9-week ceremony in the form of a course, we need to bring people here so we can share on the chat ideas and mechanisms of spreading the word, inviting others. We've made a proposal for a campaign with a monetary amount. It's an experiment in circular economies because my experience in leaving this up to, oh, just give a donation, is that first, a lot of people don't do it when given the chance, because we have to understand that we're coming from an out of balance condition with our economies. Then, of course, it looks like Patricia fell off. I'm sure she'll come back in. Oh, here she comes. So we're coming from an out of balance condition with our economy. So we can't expect to just, throw out there hours of this collective effort that we're doing and just leave it up for the out of balance condition to decide what it's going to do. So in the ancestral tradition, at least in the Quechua way of life, we call this Aini, which is reciprocity. But of course, when we go to the indigenous communities, like where I've lived for the past, 15 years, Aini, reciprocity, is the way of life. So there's not much to explain. We do a process together. Everybody brings the wood. Everybody brings the firewood. Everybody brings what we need, the elements if we're going to build a house. There's instructions. There's, it's built into the system. So there's not much to explain. So we have to do pedagogy now. We have to do reverse engineering pedagogy, meaning that we need to reframe the way that we're going to make offerings, sacred offerings. Yeah, we can't charge them a specific price, because if we do that, we're entering into the out of balance condition of saying, if you don't have the money, you can't join, right? So that's an out of balance condition. No, we're not going to say yes to that. We're going to reframe the way that we give our sacred offerings by going back to the ancestral universal ways of Aini, and Aini has to do with reciprocity. And in order to understand that it's a commitment and a responsibility. So that being said, we are setting up this campaign so that we can really all become activists in this and bring in more people. And we will begin the course and the 9-week ceremony when enough people join that are able to become replicators and bring more people until we fulfill the objective of the campaign, and this is a responsibility that we all come up with how much we can give. The amounts that each of us can give can be spoken about. You all have my contact. And we come to the agreements, sacred agreements. Okay, I can give this much. Okay, it's received. Now, what else can you bring? We all have infinite resources. We have people here helping bring other people. That's a resource. It's your time, it's your effort. So it's valued. That's why we say yes to you coming, even though you can't pay the full price. We won't turn anybody away. But we please request, let's not act out of the out of balance condition of scarcity. We all have people in our networks that can be brought into this, because what we want to do is transform lives, not make money, not a profit. The objective of this is the transformation of our humanity. So the more people we bring in, the more wealthy we are, because we're fulfilling this mission of the campaign. So that being said, if you don't have the money, bring in people. And if you don't know how to bring in people, well, this is a good way to start, and to break from that out of balance condition of fear and shame, and really go out there with what you think is important for yourself, for your loved ones, and for the world, and make a point of bringing people in, knowing that everybody can give as much as they can. This is not about giving the $360 or the $200 or whatever. It's about coming and giving what you can, and then being responsible for fulfilling what you can't give in other ways with your time and your effort of bringing more people, right? So that's what I wanted to say about this agreement and co-creation. And I hope that in this coming week, for next week's sessions, we're planning every week at the same time, the introductory session in English, and we have another one on Thursdays in the afternoon for Spanish speakers. So that way we have a space for differences. Or maybe we can grow this into any other languages, but so far we have two. So twice a week at the same times every week, so that we can start bringing people in and growing this initiative, that we can start this 9-week ceremonial course all together. So thank you. I'm complete with that. Gratitude, bliss, and joy. I don't know if anybody else would like to say some closing remarks, and we can close the session for today.
Thank you so much for the sharing. Thank you so
Felipe?
much. I'd like to ask if our dear elder Abuela Patricia could close us off for this time, because she's so precious.
And I saw that Felipe also opened his microphone. Did you want to say something, Felipe, before we have the closing prayer with Patricia?
Yes, thank you. Oh, yeah, thank you all for being here. Many blessings.
Oh, thank you. Patricia, are you there? You had some internet bumps there, so I'm not sure if you're hearing us and if you're able to close with a prayer.
Yeah. Well, I had to in the whole household. There's 8 women here, 8 single women here, and the electricity, the computer went off, and I've been trying to get back on my phone. So I'm here on the phone. I did get back on, and so we're traveling together. So we're learning how to collaborate and how to cooperate and how to choose words that do invite us into a sacred circle, so that we may reframe, meaning we have to take this languaging out of racism. Racism is people who appoint themselves the god of this planet, and they say, I'm going to manipulate and control it for my own benefit. And that is a win-lose. Nobody wins. It's destructive and death-producing. It creates those poverty outcomes for everyone else. And there are the consequences that we're witnessing today. And so we are reframing into everything is our intention for win-win, constructive, and life-affirming decision for those win-win, life-affirming outcomes, and for those benefits collectively, collective benefits. Therefore, Nana thank you again, my spiritual family and relatives. And very quickly, I'm just going to say 4 phrases. Everything's beautiful, and love and peace and wellness, restoration and good health and abundance and plenitude. I'm going to say 4 phases. Hojo nahaskli, hojo nahaskli, hojo nahaskli, hojo nahaskli, shalpa hojoni. Thank you.
Thank you. Many blessings. See you.
Thank you. Aho. Till next time.
Thank you. Thank you.
The
And
greeting.
please email or give your comments or suggestions or questions to Luciana, and she can convey that to me. And then I have to tell you, I have yesterday confirmed that I need to travel to New York City for between possibly it could be as early as June 18th through, I have to be there on the 21st and the 27th. So I don't know how I'm going to navigate being online during during those times, but I'm sure I can figure that out. I will have access to internet. This has been in a long-term planning for very long-term planning, and I didn't know whether there would even be an resource for me to bring me or for me to travel there. And yesterday I was told that I can travel there. I can be present for those two occasions on the 21st, which is the spring solstice, and also on the 21st, which is International Peace Day. So love you all. Bye. I need to go figure out how to fix something to eat with no way to cook or heat anything up here. Okay. Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
And I'll catch
Thank you, Patricia.
Thank you,
Have a
Luciana.
good lunch.
We'll talk again. Okay.
Yes.
Even later today is okay.
Oh,
All right.
okay. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye for now.